The story of Chinese silver money does not start with a round coin. It begins much earlier, with simple pieces of metal. For many centuries, China used bronze for its coins. These were the familiar round coins with a square hole in the middle. Silver, however, was treated differently. It was a precious metal, valued for its rarity and beauty. The earliest forms of silver used as money were not coins at all. They were rough, unshaped lumps or pieces of silver. People would weigh these pieces to determine their value. This was a basic system, but it worked for large transactions and for storing wealth. These early silver pieces were a sign of riches and power. As China's society grew more complex, so did its use of silver. During the Warring States period, around 475 to 221 BC, some states began to produce more formal types of silver money. These were not yet milled coins like we know today. Instead, they were often shaped like small shovels or knives, similar to the bronze money of the time. The state of Chu, for example, created silver pieces that looked like small blocks. These were marked with stamps to show their origin and value. This was a big step. It moved from simply weighing silver to having a recognized form of silver money. These early silver coins were rare and used mostly by the elite. The first true silver coins in China appeared much later than in the West. While the Greeks and Romans were using silver coins widely, China's economy was dominated by bronze cash coins. It was not until the Tang dynasty, from 618 to 907 AD, that we see more consistent attempts at creating silver coinage. The government issued silver discs as a form of currency, though they were not common. These coins were often made for special occasions or for high-value payments. They were a supplement to the vast system of bronze coins used for everyday life. The idea of a standard silver coin for everyone was still a long way off. The slow adoption of silver coins had a lot to do with China's economic philosophy. The government wanted tight control over the money supply. Bronze was cheap and easy to manage. Silver, on the other hand, was often mined in regions outside of direct government control. Plus, its value could change based on international trade. So, for a very long time, silver remained a commodity, a store of value, rather than a daily currency. It was the metal of merchants and nobles, used for taxes, bribes, and large purchases. The journey toward a national silver coin was just beginning, and it would take many more centuries to unfold. For nearly 1,000 years, the most important form of silver money in China was not a coin. It was the psyche. A psyche is a silver ingot, a lump of silver cast into a specific shape. The name Sisi comes from the Cantonese words for fine silk, which might refer to the silky sheen of pure silver. These ingots were the backbone of China's silver economy from the Song dynasty right up to the early 20th century. They were not made by a central government mint. Instead, private silversmiths and banks would melt down silver and cast it into these shapes. This created a flexible but complicated system for handling large amounts of money. Sisi came in many shapes and sizes. The most famous shape, especially to Westerners, is the boat or saddle shape. It looks like a small boat with a raised center. Other shapes included round discs, rectangular bars, and even shapes that looked like flowers or turtles. Each sisi was stamped by the silversmith who made it. These stamps guaranteed its weight and purity. The stamps often included the name of the bank, the city where it was made, the date, and the tax purpose it was intended for. A single sisi could have multiple stamps on it, telling a story of its journey through the economy. Using sisi was very different from using modern coins. Since they were made by many different silversmiths, their weight and purity were not perfectly uniform. When making a payment, a sisi would be weighed on a small, precise scale. If the payment was for an odd amount, a piece of the sisi would be clipped off to get the exact weight. This is why many historical sisi have cut marks or are found in pieces. This system required every merchant and official to have a trusted scale and the skill to use it. It was a hands-on approach to money that is hard to imagine today. The sisi system was essential for China's vast empire. It allowed for the movement of huge sums of wealth across the country. Provincial governments would collect taxes in the form of sisi and send them to the imperial capital. Merchants used them to finance large trade deals, like buying tea and silk for export. A large sisi could be worth thousands of bronze cash coins, making it much easier to transport. For the average person, however, a sisi was something they might never see or touch. Their world was one of bronze coins. The sisi was the money of the powerful and the wealthy. The late 19th century brought huge changes to China. The Qing dynasty was facing pressure from Western powers, trade with Europe and America was growing, and these traders brought their own money, silver dollars. Coins like the Spanish dollar and the Mexican peso were widely used in China's port cities. The Chinese government realized it needed its own modern, machine-struck silver coin to compete. This led to the creation of the first Chinese silver dollar, often called the dragon dollar. The first official mints were set up in the 1880s, using machinery imported from Britain. It was a revolutionary moment for Chinese money. The design of the dragon dollar was a powerful statement. On one side, it featured a magnificent, coiling dragon. The dragon is a symbol of imperial power and good fortune in China. This image was meant to show the strength and authority of the Qing government. The other side of the coin had Chinese characters that stated the value in the province where it was minted. Early dragon dollars also had English text on them, like Guangdong Province, and 7 mace, and 2 candarines. This English text was there to make the coins acceptable to foreign traders. It was a blend of Chinese tradition and Western practicality. Creating a national standard for these new coins was difficult. At first, each province set up its own mint and produced its own dragon dollars. A dollar from the Guangdong mint might have a slightly different design or weight than one from the Hubei mint. This created confusion and made trade complicated. People had to know the different coins and which ones were more trustworthy. In 1910, the Qing government finally tried to create a single, unified national dollar. This coin had a more standardized dragon design and was meant to be the sole, legal silver dollar for all of China. However, the dynasty collapsed just a year later, cutting this effort short. The dragon dollar changed China's economy forever. It introduced the idea of a standard, reliable silver coin that did not need to be weighed for every transaction. This made commerce faster and simpler. It also brought China into the world of international finance. The dragon dollar was roughly the same size and weight as the American Morgan dollar or the Mexican peso. This made it easy to exchange for foreign currencies. For the first time, China had a modern silver coin that could stand alongside the great trade coins of the world. The era of the Sisi was beginning to fade, and the age of the silver dollar had begun. The story of Chinese silver coins is not complete without talking about America. In the 1870s, the United States was mining a huge amount of silver, especially from the Comstock lode in Nevada. American merchants wanted to use this silver to buy goods like tea, silk, and porcelain from China. However, the Chinese preferred the Mexican peso, which was a trusted coin in Asia. To solve this, the United States government created a special coin just for this purpose, the United States trade dollar. It was slightly heavier than a standard American silver dollar to compete directly with the peso. These American trade dollars were minted from 1873 to 1885 and shipped in large numbers across the Pacific Ocean to China. They were not meant to be used as money in the United States. Their only job was to be used in Asia. When they arrived in China, merchants would often test them to make sure they were real silver. They would stamp them with a small Chinese character called a chop mark. A coin could be stamped many times by different merchants as it moved from hand to hand. These chop marks are like a passport, showing the coin's history, and travels through the Chinese economy. The American trade dollar had a big influence on China. It showed Chinese officials how a standardized, well-made silver coin could make trade easier. The success of the United States trade dollar, along with other foreign coins, was a major reason why the Qing government decided to start minting its own dragon dollars. They saw that if they did not create their own modern coins, their economy would be dominated by foreign money. The American coin was both a competitor and a role model for China's own numismatic ambitions. It was a clear signal that China needed to modernize its currency system to stay in control. Today, these chop-marked United States trade dollars are fascinating collectibles. For an American collector, they represent a direct link between American history and Chinese history. Each chop mark tells a story of a transaction that happened over a century ago in a faraway port like Shanghai or Canton. These coins are physical evidence of the early days of global trade between the two nations. They are not just American coins, they are world coins that carry the legacy of the bustling China trade. Finding a United States trade dollar with clear, interesting chop marks is a special prize for many collectors. In 1912, the Qing dynasty fell, and the Republic of China was born. This was a time of great hope and change. The new government wanted to create a currency that reflected its modern, republican values. The dragon, a symbol of the old empire, was removed from the coins. In its place came the portrait of the new republic's first president, Sun Yat-sen. This was a radical change for Chinese coinage. For the first time, the portrait of a living political leader was placed on a national coin. This was a practice borrowed from Western countries, like the United States with its presidents on coins. The most famous of these new coins is the Sun Yat-sen dollar. It was first minted in 1912 to commemorate the founding of the Republic. One side showed the profile of Sun Yat-sen. The other side had the value written in Chinese characters surrounded by a wreath of grain. This design was simple, elegant, and modern. It represented a break from the imperial past and a look toward a future of prosperity for the people. This coin became the blueprint for Chinese silver dollars for the next few decades. It was a powerful symbol of the new China and its aspirations. Another popular silver dollar from this era is the Yuan Shikai dollar. Yuan Shikai was a powerful general who became the second president of the Republic of China. He later tried to make himself emperor. His silver dollar, first minted in 1914, features his military portrait. This coin was produced in massive quantities for many years, even after his death. It became one of the most common and trusted silver coins in China during the 1920s and 30s. For many Chinese people, the Yuan Shikai dollar, or Fat Man dollar as it was sometimes called, was the standard silver coin of the time. The final major silver dollar of the Republic of China was the junk dollar, first minted in 1932. This coin featured a new portrait of Sun Yat-sen on one side. The other side showed a Chinese junk boat sailing on the sea, with two geese flying overhead and a rising sun. This beautiful design was meant to symbolize China moving forward into a bright future. These coins, the Sun Yat-sen, Yuan Shikai, and junk dollars, were the workhorses of the Chinese economy for decades. They were used by everyone, from city merchants to rural farmers, and they represent the turbulent but hopeful years of the Chinese Republic. While the big silver dollars get most of the attention, they were not really practical for everyday purchases. You know, a silver dollar was a lot of money, enough to buy a large bag of rice. For smaller transactions, people definitely needed smaller coins. That's why the Chinese mints also produced fractional silver coins. These were small coins with values of 50 cents, 20 cents, and 10 cents. Just like the American system of half dollars, quarters, and dimes, these coins made it possible to conduct daily business using silver. They really served as a bridge between the valuable silver dollar and the low-value bronze or copper coins. These small silver coins were often called small money in China. Their designs usually matched the dollar coins of the same period. For example, during the time of the dragon dollars, there were also dragon 20-cent and 10-cent pieces. They featured a smaller version of the imperial dragon. When the Republic was founded, the new fractional coins featured Republican symbols. Sometimes they had the new national flag, or the wreath of grain design from the Sun Yat-sen dollar. These little coins circulated widely, and were used by millions of people for buying food, paying for services, and other daily needs. Finding rare and interesting fractional silver coins is honestly a joy for collectors. Some of the rarest Chinese silver coins are not the big dollars but these tiny pieces. Because they were used so heavily, most of them became very worn. Finding one in excellent, like-new condition can be very difficult and honestly, very rewarding. Some provinces also minted their own special fractional coins with unique designs. For instance, the Sichuan province issued a coin with a Han character in the center, a symbol of Chinese identity, which is highly sought after by collectors for its unique design and historical context. One of the smallest silver coins ever made in China is the 3 Fen 9 Li coin from Tibet, which was under Chinese authority. Minted in the early 20th century, this coin is tiny, smaller than an American dime, and contains only a small amount of silver. It was part of a unique local currency system. These tiny coins show how silver was adapted for use in every corner of China's vast territory. They prove that the history of Chinese silver is not just a story of large, impressive dollars, but also a story of the small coins that people carried in their pockets every day. Beyond the standard issue coins, Chinese numismatic history is just full of fascinating special editions and commemorative coins. These pieces were often made in small numbers to mark a specific event, and they tell really unique stories about the country's turbulent history. One of the most famous is the memento dollar of 1912. This was the very first silver dollar of the Republic of China. It features Sun Yat-sen's portrait, but with a slightly different design from the later, more common versions. It was minted to celebrate the birth of the Republic, and it's a powerful symbol of that revolutionary moment. Another intriguing story is that of the auto dollar from 1928. This coin was minted in Kwaikou Province to commemorate the completion of the province's first highway. The governor of the province was very proud of this achievement. The coin features a picture of his personal automobile. At the time, cars were incredibly rare in this remote part of China. The design is a bit crude, and the car looks very basic, but honestly, that's part of its charm. It's a wonderful example of local pride and the desire for modernization. Collectors love this coin for its unusual design and the great story behind it. Warlords also minted their own coins during the chaotic period of the 1920s. Powerful military leaders controlled different parts of China and often issued their own money to pay their soldiers and run their territories. Some of these coins feature the portraits of the warlords themselves. For example, Tuan Qijui, a powerful political figure, had a commemorative coin minted with his portrait to celebrate peace. It's kind of ironic because his time in power was anything but peaceful. These warlord coins are a window into a time when China was fractured and central authority had really broken down. Perhaps one of the most touching commemorative coins is the 1927 dollar honoring Sun Yat-sen. It was minted after his death and shows his portrait above a mausoleum, the grand tomb built for him in Nanjing. This coin was not intended for circulation but was created as a memorial to the founding father of the Republic. It really captures the sense of respect and mourning the nation felt for its lost leader. These special coins are not just pieces of silver, they are historical documents. They capture specific moments in time, celebrations, ambitions, and even personal vanity, making the hobby of collecting Chinese coins so endlessly interesting. The era of the silver coin in China really came to an end in the 1930s. The world was in the grip of the Great Depression, and the price of silver rose dramatically on the international market. In America, the Silver Purchase Act of 1934 caused the U.S. government to buy up huge amounts of silver. This made the silver in China's coins worth more than their face value. As a result, massive quantities of Chinese silver dollars were melted down or smuggled out of the country to be sold for a profit. This created a severe currency crisis in China. The country was simply running out of money. In response, the nationalist government made a drastic decision in 1935. It abandoned the silver standard. Private ownership of silver was outlawed, and all silver coins had to be turned in to the government in exchange for a new paper currency called the Fapi. This was the official end of silver as the basis of China's money. For centuries, silver had been the ultimate store of value. Now, suddenly, it was just a metal. The silver coins that had been the lifeblood of the economy for decades were withdrawn from circulation, bringing a historic chapter to a close. After the Communist Revolution in 1949, the new People's Republic of China established a completely different currency system. The new government introduced the renminbi, the people's currency. The basic unit is the yuan. Initially, this was a strictly controlled, non-convertible currency with no connection to precious metals. The old silver dollars of the Republic and the Empire became relics of a past that the new government wanted to forget. Many were confiscated and melted down by the state. For decades, the only coins in China were low-value aluminum or base metal coins for small change. It was not until 1979, when China began to open up its economy to the world, that silver coins returned. However, they came back in a completely new form, as modern commemorative coins for collectors. The People's Republic of China began to mint beautiful silver coins to celebrate Chinese culture, history, and achievements. These are not money to be spent in stores. They are non-circulating legal tender, much like the American silver eagle. The most famous of these is the silver panda coin, first issued in 1983. The return of silver coins marked a new chapter, one focused on collectors and investors rather than everyday commerce. Today, collecting Chinese silver coins is a popular and honestly, pretty exciting hobby all over the world, especially in America. The field offers a huge variety, from the ancient Sisi ingots to the modern silver pandas. For many collectors, these coins are a gateway to understanding the rich and complex history of China. Each coin is a small piece of that history. Holding a dragon dollar from the Qing dynasty or a Sun Yat-sen dollar from the Republic allows you to connect with a time and place that is very different from our own. It's kind of like holding a key that unlocks stories of emperors, revolutionaries, and global trade. The value of Chinese silver coins can vary dramatically. Common coins in worn condition like the Yuan Shikai dollar can be quite affordable. This makes them a great starting point for new collectors. On the other hand, rare coins in top condition can be extremely valuable. A rare provincial dragon dollar or a special commemorative coin, like the auto dollar, can sell for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. The market for high-quality Chinese coins is very strong, driven by collectors in both China and the West. This has made Chinese numismatics a serious area of investment. For American collectors, one of the most important steps is to ensure the coins are genuine. Because many Chinese coins are so valuable, forgeries are a major problem. It is very important to buy from reputable dealers or to have coins authenticated by a trusted third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services grade the coin's condition and seal it in a protective plastic holder which guarantees that it is authentic. This slabbing has become the standard for serious collectors, as it provides peace of mind and makes the coins easier to trade or sell. The world of Chinese silver coins offers a lifetime of learning and discovery. You can choose to specialize in a particular period, like the Qing dynasty, or a particular type of coin, like the fractional silver of Sichuan province. You can build a collection of chop-marked trade dollars that tells the story of global commerce. Or you can focus on the beautiful modern issues like the Silver Panda series. Whatever path you choose, collecting Chinese silver coins is a rewarding journey. It's a hobby that combines history, art, and economics into a single fascinating pursuit.